All right, so the first thing that we want to have a think about is actually what the difference between the two types of ads are, Google ads and Facebook ads. And I've popped down a little list here of why these two are different. And this is going to help you form up your ads and actually consider where what you're going to say to which audiences and how to construct your audiences as well. The key difference is the person's intent on each of those platforms. So on social, they could be anywhere in the customer journey. Now, if you haven't seen the Facebook ads for beginners course, I will just jump into this second slide and show you. So every customer goes through a psychological process when they purchase or interact with your product or brand. So they go from, before even this brand awareness, they are unaware, and something triggers them to be aware of the problem that you're solving. So when I say problem that you're solving, even if that's an experience, it might be a warm coat, or it might be an experience like a 2-day getaway or a winery tour. You're solving a problem for that person. So there's a trigger that occurs, and once that trigger occurs, they may be aware that your industry segment or even your brand exists. And often some of the places that people are advertising at a brand awareness level, sort of like the more broadcast or the wider advertising audiences, such as your radio, where it's not that targeted, TV, print, which can be a bit more targeted. Social media ads come in here, public relations, so earned media like stories in newspapers or magazines, and then word of mouth is also a means of advertising, I guess, in the brand awareness stage. So once somebody moves out of brand awareness, they generally move to a consideration phase. So this is when someone's thinking about your product or service, and they're starting to just do a little bit more research into it. Where you can show up, or where they will be, where the platforms that they're going to be using are places like Google search. They may be referring to email marketing, social media. They're still going to be on social media. They may start to hit your website or blog or that of your competitors, and they may start to do a few reviews, look at a few review sites like TripAdvisor and also Google reviews. So when we consider the platforms that they're on, then we can start targeting our content, our messaging, or our advertising at those platforms. I'll come back to why these are red in a moment. The third stage is conversion. So this is when they're literally making the purchase. So if we think about things like, they're going to be on that, they need an e-commerce, which is on our website, or a third-party booking site, then we know they literally can't get to the next stage, which is post-purchase and the experience itself, without that thing existing. So we need a website or an e-commerce store. There may be third-party booking platforms that we need to be on. They may be using things like email marketing. They're certainly going to be using Google pay-per-click for search, etc. So that's the conversion stage. After the conversion, they're in the experience. They're using the experience, the product or experience itself. And after that, you get into some sharing and loyalty. Now, I'm not going to concern us with the experience itself and the sharing loyalty today. You could go in really deep on improving the experience and the opportunities there, and also giving people a means and seeding sharing opportunities in sharing and loyalty. We're going to focus on brand awareness, consideration, and conversion today, for one good reason, and that is that our social media ads and our Google ads can be used to target people in those stage and try to move them further along in the customer journey. And after all, that's the whole point of what we're doing here. We're trying to influence their behavior and move them along in that customer journey, albeit towards our brand and not our competitors. So that's what the customer journey is. Coming back up here, so the key difference between search ads and social ads, we'll go a bit further on in social. In social, they're not necessarily, not necessarily in the frame of mind to buy. So they're on social, sharing experiences with family and friends. They're looking for entertainment, and it's a social experience. So you've got to remember that you're actually interrupting people in that space. So your ads need to be interesting. They shouldn't be too salesy. It depends on where people are in that customer journey that we spoke about. If they're in consideration, maybe they can be a little bit more salesy. If they're more in the brand awareness phase, or you're targeting like a large group of people, say you're targeting Perth. And it's just people that are frequent international travellers. They're between 30 and 40 years old. That's quite a wide audience, and they may not necessarily be familiar with your brand or your product. So sticking an ad in front of them to say buy now, that's a big stretch for somebody to go from completely unaware to buy now, unless it's a low value item, or it's like something of serious contextual importance to their situation right now. So you probably wouldn't be using copy like that in your social ads, but certainly in search you're going to be using that, because on the search side they have displayed intent simply by the search term that they've used. So use that Perth example. If we were a winery over there and somebody has typed in great wineries in Perth, then maybe that's the keyword you want to target, because they're showing intent that they want to visit a great winery in Perth. So on this side, on social, we're trying to reach our audience. On search, the audience is finding us. So that's the key difference. So on social, it's probably going to cost less per 1,000 impressions, because your leads or your audience is less qualified, and there's also going to be a greater volume of people. In search, it's going to cost you more per click, but each of those clicks is most likely going to be a higher qualified lead, and they're intending to buy. At the very least, you can target keywords where they're intending to buy. So if it was, they may be typing in buy wine online, for example, that they're intending to spend money to purchase wine online. So take care not to waste money on the wrong keywords. You sort of want to balance up the number of keywords that you're using and how general they are with the budget that you've got to spend and how many people you want to be reaching on a daily basis. So that's something you tweak in your campaign along the way, the keywords that you're actually using. And there's going to be less volume of people in search. So unless you go quite broad with your keywords, you're going to find on a daily basis there may be 20 people, or even less, searching for a specific term like Melbourne winery tour, for example. So depending on how many people are searching and depending on how many people are trying to advertise to those searches, decides how competitive it is to advertise to them, and that'll determine how much it costs you to advertise to them, because it's basically an auction or a bidding war on Google to get in front of those people. So there's some basic differences with your social and search. On the search side, again, it's intent driven. And it's going to cost you more, but they're going to be high qualified leads. You can get a bit more call to action-y in your copy. On the social side, you need to remember that you're actually on a social platform trying to interrupt someone from spending time with their family and friends or getting entertainment. So you probably need to be a little bit more entertaining and a little bit less salesy there. So they're the key differences. Let's move on.